Hey, welcome back. So we are looking at four concepts here: sidebar, forms, expander, and columns. So these are the four new concepts we'll be looking at. And let's look at why we do need a sidebar. The idea of sidebar is actually to declutter the application. So if we actually just put everything sequentially in Streamlit, it might be difficult for user to do it. But using a sidebar, we are actually differentiating from the user what are the options that are available for him and what all the actions after the action has been done. You can view it on the right. Like we did the image rotation app, we actually had action on the left, and once the process image was done on the right, so we were able to declutter the application. That was the idea of declutter here. So let's look at the same idea here, where we are having a sidebar, we are accepting a number, and once that number is accepted on the sidebar, that's being displayed on the right. That's the idea here. Let's actually run this example here. So Streamlit run sidebar. Cool. So pick any number you want here that's being displayed here. That's your sidebar. And once we have the sidebar, so let's actually look at so the next concept we are looking at here is forums. So the one idea of forms here is it's more like a web form where you basically have user enter a couple of options and the data is selected and made a specific decision. So the idea we are doing here is based on user input, we will make a purchase decision. So this basically what we will be creating here is we have an you can either select four fruits here. So you can select a papaya, banana, guava, or mango, and the number of quantity you want and which city you live in. And once you do that, you can select it. We would not have any follow-up option here. We are just printing it on the screen. So that's what we are testing it in the form. And let's go do this and see how it would look like. So the name of our file is form.py. So Streamlit run, let's do form.py. Okay, so we are starting our form. Cool. So let's select papaya and you can do the scroll bar. You can also specify the quantity you want here. So let's basically say, you can pick any city you want, or let's basically say let's do NYC. Right, so this is just for demoing, we are not actually doing anything. And similarly select another fruit, you can do it, you can bring down the quantity. So this one is more like a quick commerce app front end, you are doing it here. That's basically what the idea of forms here are, that you basically do a series of values, and that values, once user clicks a trigger in any web application, it's either post or get. Once you do that, the request is then sent back to the server for processing, or you can do processing on the client side. So that's what the idea is. Like Streamlit is for prototyping. These are some of the use cases we are learning here. And after this, let's actually come to look at what is an expander. So the idea here is we basically have some set of values, and it's a dictionary here, so mammal and how the count they are in. And if user clicks on the expander, they can actually see the chart here. If they don't do it, then basically you won't see the chart. It's similar to you click on the sidebar a couple of options like slider window or a checkbox, and then you actually click a specific action, then you see what the outcome is. That's basically the idea here to an expander. But one thing you need to remember is within an expander, you cannot have another expander. At the moment, nested expander is not supported. This you need to be really aware of. I just stressed on it again. And let's actually go and run the expander code. So you basically see, click on this. It's more like in JavaScript, you basically have an option to expand here. You basically have a widget to expand that's similar to what this one is here. And these are, we might use it, we might not use it in some of the application, but yeah, we are just exploring all the stuff that Streamlit supports and you need to be aware of, which is the purpose of this course. So that's why we are covering that here. So the next thing is, let's actually head into columns, which is the last part of this this lecture, and then let's look at it. So it is the idea of columns is nothing but a structured display of items. So this is more like span or grid what you use in your JavaScript. It's similar to that. So that's basically what we are doing here. So if we don't use span, we can't display side by side. Using columns, we can actually enable that in Streamlit. So that's what we are doing here. So let's actually do for column 1, column 2 here, and that's the one, and that's basically the one. And let's say we want one more here. So let's say I want a bar chart. I'm just copy paste here, and we just have two. Let's actually run this and come back and add the third one. So that would actually make more sense. So let's actually run columns.py. Cool. So you actually see two charts side by side, and like we mentioned, can we add the third one? I think this is something which we always explore in JavaScript. So we might also want to do that here. So let me say we want it in 8. So this is the span width I'm giving, or you can just play around with it. So you can, based on your screen size, you can play with any values that is of interest to you. So there is nothing right or wrong here. It's just we are learning the concepts here. So that's what we intend to do here. And come down here, and we are changing this to column 3, and let's probably call this bar chart. I think bar should be capital, right? So let's actually make this bar chart, and instead of line chart here, we already learned all the charts you can actually plot in Streamlit. So we have also done external libraries. This is a good exercise for you to play around with all those stuff what we learned in the previous lecture, and let me know how things go here. So yeah, we already have columns running, so we don't have to do anything here. Just refresh the page. So the column seems cluttered. So let's actually do, let's say 2. Let me do the next one is, let's call this 2.5. And let's call this 4. So let's run and see how they look like now. Yeah, this one is more like trial and error. You actually play with, yeah, now it's much better, but can this be even better? So let's actually, in that case, let's actually do 3 here. So 3, 5, 4, or even better, let's do an equal sizing of 3, 3, 3. So that's more like 33% each. Let's see how this would look like here. Yeah, so we actually did an equal size. So you can play around with all of this values and see which is the best function you can do. And similarly, it's you can play around with all the columns here, and this is just a good idea to play with. So 33%, like what we are doing it in CSS, we are trying that out here, how they would look like. Yeah, see, now they are all equal spaced to 33%, and you can add a title and whatever stuff you want here. So that covers this one. And after this, in the next chapter, we will be exploring the idea of mutate data. So mutate is nothing but on your existing data, how can you add incremental data? So that's what the concept we'll be looking at in the next lecture. Thank you.